Hello, welcome to our screencast presentation for the 75-hour Broker Principles course. Hello, by way of introduction, I am Dan Serrett, and I'll be your instructor for this Broker 75-hour Principles course. Here is some information to contact me with if you need to. You'll find a couple places on this site where this information is repeated, so you don't have to write it down right now. There's also a place on this site here that you can find a little bit more about me and my background. So without further ado, let me give you an overview to how we're going to be conducting our class and how we're going to take you from point A all the way through the end of the course and get you ready for the final exam and then get you ready for the state exam. There are four key components that make up our online course. I'll talk in detail about three of them in just a minute. The text we're going to use, we'll talk about the student support site, and live instructor support. However, I want to stress that you, in fact, are the most important part of this course. You as an online student are responsible for directing your learning, using the learning resources and activities we have available for you, managing your time and completing assignments as you work towards your goal of successfully mastering the material in this course to prepare to pass the final exam, as well as prepare to pass the state broker's license exam. So while we have a number of learning resources and tools and applications to help and assist you through this course, it's ultimately up to you to captain the ship of the course. So let's discuss the other three components that make up your course. The first is our main textbook, Modern Real Estate Practice in Illinois, 8th edition. This book is the centerpiece of the course, so make sure you have a copy of it. If not, contact me. I'll see you order one or get one to you. Everything really revolves around the material found in its pages, so let's discuss it just a little bit since it's the key to the program. First thing you're going to see when you open up a chapter is vocabulary. The vocabulary terms are important in that some students like to study them. Some students even like to make flashcards. If you want to make your own flashcards and use them and work with them and drill with them, that's fine. You'll see later that I actually have some flashcards for you that you might be able to use as well. But some people like to do paper ones and carry them with them and drill with them. The other thing we'll see in the class or in the textbook is where we have, as we go through the material, what are called national or uniform content, and we also see where we'll have Illinois content. That's specifically Illinois laws and topics. The national laws are uniform in nature, general real estate laws. They apply, these are laws that apply uniformly throughout the nation. And then of course we have Illinois laws, and they're identified by a little box marked in Illinois, and you'll see a little state of Illinois. And these are real estate laws and concepts we need to know, because in addition to the national laws, we'll have to know what these state laws are for the state portion of the license exam. More on that later. There are additional quizzes and exams, prep exams, if you will, at the end of each of the chapters. And these are not mandatory, nor do I grade them in any way. These are strictly for you to drill with at the end of each of the chapters. If you want to go over and use those, that's fine. You'll see there's answer keys for these at the end of the book. There are practice state exams, which you don't need to worry about now when the course is over. Starting on page 503, there are two, prep exams that maybe you might want to go through and see if how your understanding is of all of this before you take the state exam. And then there's a glossary at the end of the book. The glossary of terms also is alphabetically listed and has the citations where you can find that particular concept in the book. Let's talk a little bit about the student course portal and the various components of that, and give you an overview to that
portal very quickly. Of course, here's our website. And where we find our main course portal. This is the opening page of the portal, and at the top we'll see these navigation buttons, and you can click through each of them individually. They're pretty self-explanatory. We've got your instructor, we've got the course main menu, we've got course materials, we got the course calendar, and we have private sessions, FAQs, and the contact us buttons up at the top. The ones that I think are the more important ones are the course main menu, which we'll talk about in a second. Course materials, of course you have your materials, so we pretty much know what those are, but you can take a look at those if you want to. The course calendar is important. The course calendar will give you, for your class, a week-by-week schedule of where you should be so that you can start and finish the class in time with plenty of time to study in between as well as get ready for the final examination. So your course calendar is important. You can go there, as I say, and you can follow along week by week to find out exactly which chapters you should have completed, which unit exams, which quizzes you should have done. So the biggest mistake online students make is they don't keep up with the course calendar, and they get behind, and then at the very end of the course they're playing catch up. So you don't want to do that. So follow your course calendar. It's there specifically for you and for your class. Private sessions is something I'm putting together. It's still under construction. My goal here is to try to have a portal and a button whereby when you want to talk to me in a private session where we can sort of meet one-on-one vis-a-vis over the internet, and we can talk about questions you might have, and I can share with you collaborative kinds of things like online chats. We can share files and things like that. FAQs, frequently asked questions. Typically, if you have a question, you might want to go to the FAQ button first. We probably have had the question before and have an answer for you, so check that first, maybe even before you contact us. And of course, the contact us button is exactly what that's for. Now, on your navigation buttons, the most important one, I think, as far as driving your course is the course main menu. When you click that, you're going to get what we call the course main menu, and the course main menu has your course units in it. It has preparation for the final exam. It has slide casts for mathematics, math review questions, and then as well as a link to your final exam. We're going to talk about this in detail right now, actually. And of course, on the home page there, this is where the video that you're viewing right now is also located. Let's talk about the course main menu, which is the navigation that will start you from the beginning of the course all the way through the final examination. Everything that you need to complete this course, everything you need to assist you as you go through the course and learning the material is found here on the course main menu. To begin with, under the course units tab, if we click the unit chapters 1 through 4, we get our chapters 1 through 4. Now you're looking at chapter 1 right now. Towards the bottom you'll see numbers 1 through 5. What you have down there are chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is actually the unit exam. So that's how you toggle at the bottom there, 1 through 5. You toggle from chapter 1 to chapter 2 to chapter 3, 4, and 5. And you'll do the same thing with the other chapters, and by that way you'll go through from chapter 1 all the way through chapter 23. So here we have chapters 1 through 4, and we have a unit exam. When we click the chapter 1 outline for chapter 1, we get an outline of that chapter. It's almost like a Cliff Notes version of that chapter. So a chapter may in fact have 10 to 20 pages or more of reading material, but the chapter outline will have condensed that chapter into 2 or 3 or 4 pages of the key points that are covered within that chapter. Some students like to review the chapter outlines before they read a chapter and go through a chapter. Some like to do it at the very end of the chapter, after they're done with the chapter, to almost use it as a checklist to see if they understand all the material and if there's anything there they really haven't grasped, or perhaps they really haven't covered as well as they should. So the chapter outlines are a very useful tool in giving you an overview and also a review of each of the chapters. The slide casts, I think you'll enjoy. The slide casts are essentially your instructor lecture. What you'll have with the slide cast is you'll hear your instructor just as you're hearing me with this presentation, and you'll see the PowerPoint presentation for that particular chapter, and it will go basically page by page through each chapter in your textbook. So it's almost like being at a live instructor lecture. The benefit, of course, is you don't have to drive to it or from the lecture, and the other benefit is you can access that lecture 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from almost any form of device or computer. So I think you'll enjoy the slide cast. They're sort of the centerpiece of all the tools that you'll be using here. Another tool that we have for you, each chapter has its own quiz. Those quizzes are designed to go over the key main points that we want you to know in each of the chapters. So that's a good way, and there's an answer sheet with each of the quizzes, so you can take the quizzes and then grade them and see if there are any concepts or any of the things we've presented here, content we've presented that perhaps you're still having difficulty with. We have a link to what we call our flashcards and our games. A lot of students like vocabulary, a lot of students like to study flashcards, and this does this very handily for you, in that we'll have interactive flashcards that are on a website that we link you to, and we'll do that per each of the chapters. And what's kind of neat about these flashcards is you can also have audio with them. There's a little button that they'll actually speak to you. They'll give you the term, they'll also give you the definition. The games, there are some matching games, there's some fill-in-the-blank games, and some other games, frankly, that take the material that we've put into that particular chapter application, and you can create your own games on the fly. And a lot of students like to do that, particularly kinesthetic learners. These are learners that like to engage with the material, and they like to sort of get hands-on with material rather than just read material. I think you'll like the flashcards and the games. Very interactive and very good for reviewing the material, as well as for drilling on all the major concepts in a particular chapter. The chapters, the little toggle switch at the bottom, of course, that will take you not only to each of the chapters, but it'll also at the very end of it give you the unit exam for that particular unit. So the Unit 1 exam will be found on page 5 of the chapters 1 through 4 unit. And that unit exam is an online exam. You'll link to it. It will not only give you the exam online, but it'll grade it for you. It'll also show you, and I think you'll like this, it'll also show you what you got wrong and why you got it wrong. Often we even show why the other answers aren't correct. So it's not only a very good diagnostic tool for you, but it's a very good learning tool, evaluation tool, and a good way to review all the material again. So if you haven't done well on those chapter quizzes, or there are some areas you've had some trouble with the chapter quizzes, the unit exams will let you know whether you finally mastered that material or not. The preparation for the final examination is something you're going to do before you take the state exam, the final exam. I'm sorry, you want to do your preparation for the final exam. And that'll be a very helpful tool for you to get ready for the final. The slide casts for the maths, we take each of the math and we've made slide casts for it. And we have the additional math review questions. So after the math slide casts help you learn the various math concepts, then we give you some math review questions so you can drill and show that you have mastered them. And then the final exam, when you're ready to take your final exam, and you'll go to the final exam testing center, the proctor at the testing center, when you click final exam, that will link you to the final exam, and there will be a place for the proctor to put in a code, and the code will open up the exam, and you'll be able to take it at the testing center. So the code that you'll see if you click the final exam right now, there's a box for a code that's being held by the proctor who will give you your final examination.
Here's an example of a course study plan. You review your chapter summaries, read the chapter along with and then go through the chapter slide casts, either simultaneously or do one after the other. Do the chapter quizzes. No peeking, please. When you take your chapter quiz, you do it just like a real exam, then grade it. Don't keep your finger on the answer key to the quiz and then kind of go back and forth, because that's not a good way to do that. Do those chapter quizzes just like a real exam, grade them, and then see how well you do. And this will be a good learning tool for you. You'll find out what you do and don't know, where you're strong, where you're weak, and that's what we're after. You won't get that if you're peeking at the answers as you go through this. Look up anything as you take your quizzes that you've missed. Make sure you know why you've missed it. If you don't know why, certainly reach out to me and I'll help you understand it. Do the end of the book chapter exams and grades. These are optional. You don't have to do the end of the chapter exams, but if you've got a mind to do that, that's great, not a problem, but you don't have to. Do the unit reviews. Again, I'll be recording your evaluations and your scores as you go through the unit reviews. Do your math slide casts and your math and then your final exam. When it comes to your final exam, know you're going to have 125 question multiple choice test. Again, it'll be online driven. You'll take it with a proctor at a testing center. When you're done with your exam, your final exam, if you've passed it, you'll receive a course transcript showing that you've passed that. You'll want to retain that. Don't lose those. And don't forget, you're going to be taking a 15-hour interactive course. If you don't know the dates of your interactive course, reach out to me, although I'll be giving you when your interactive course is going to be given and where it's going to be given and the location and times and all that business. But just don't forget that you've got a 15-hour interactive course after this course is over. Your state broker exam, when you go to take your license exam, you're going to have 150 questions total. There'll be two portions to that. There'll be a 100 question multiple choice uniform portion. There'll be a 50 multiple choice question Illinois state specific portion. You have to pass each of those with a 75% or better score in order to pass that portion of it. If you fail either the uniform portion or the state-specific portion, then you need to go back and just retake that portion. You have 4 chances at each of these portions, and you must pass them within those 4 tries. If you don't pass them within 4 tries, each of them, and I'll tell you, sometimes it happens, but very rarely with my online students, but if you fail both portions 4 times, then you've got to repeat the entire course. So we want to make sure that you pass your state broker's exam, the uniform portion and or the state portion, within those 4 tries that you're given. And notice next to the 50 questions Illinois state specific part, we have chapter 14. Most of your questions on your Illinois state portion are going to come out of chapter 14 in your book. That's the Illinois license law. I'm going to show you how you become a candidate to take your Illinois broker's AMP exam. And here's how you do it. You become a candidate by going to www.goamp.com, and you're going to become a candidate and you're going to get a registration number. What's important about that is you want to give me that number or others that number, and so they can load that up on the AMP website to show that you've passed that, and you have to pass it before you can make your exam appointment. Then you'll go back to the Go AMP site and actually make your state broker exam appointment. So I just want to give you an overview to this now. I'll be giving you much more detailed instructions as you go through your course. So don't worry about this now, but just be aware that down the line you're going to have to do a couple of steps before you're going to be able to sit for your state exam. As you go through your textbook, you're going to see you're in Illinois. With the state of Illinois by it. And so that's the Illinois law that you've got to know. So a couple things to kind of pay attention to. As you go through this course with me, you're going to see some arrows. You're going to see some must-know arrows, some no arrows, some nice to know stuff, and some you don't really have to know. It's general information. So as you go through this course, I'm going to give you little alerts with red and yellow arrows. When you see the red arrows, that is absolutely definitely stuff you're going to get on the state examination. The yellow is probably testable stuff that you're going to see. The other two probably not, just good to know or just general information. But that'll give you a little heads up as I lecture on each chapter of the important things to alert you to be aware of. Here's some more instructor support information from me, and I'll be here to help you as you go through the course. You see my office hours are 10:30 to 2:30 p.m. and reach out to me if I can be of help to you. So good luck. Here's our introductions over to the slide casts and to the course itself. And now I want you to go to Chapter 1, Introduction to the Real Estate Business. Thanks for listening. Here's some more instructor support information from me, and I'll be here to help you as you go through the course. You see my office hours are 10:30 to 2:30 p.m. and reach out to me if I can be of help to you.